Now let's just jump into adding materials to our scene. Now for a lantern, as you can see, almost all the materials are same. So we are gonna do just that thing. Also at this point, saving your Blender file would be great. Let's just select our glass material and glass object, jump into shading tab, click on new and delete principal BSDF, add glass BSDF, connect these nodes, add a color ramp, color to color, color to roughness, not color, and make sure roughness is as 0.5, color to roughness, add a noise texture and color to factor. So this is what our glass material would look like. You could play with the slider and obviously change the roughness, change the texture and play with these sliders. Right about here seems pretty nice. And now let's create a material for the base material for our lamp, to be precise. So let's just name it base mat, and in principle BSDF, make the base color to almost completely black and just increase the metallic and roughness to 0.5 by default. Add a color ramp and connect the color to our base color. Now we are gonna add kind of a rust to our uh, metal material. So for that, add a noise texture and just select the values you wish to kind of give it a black and rusted brown color. Now this is what it would look like in color, and just connect this color node to our roughness. Maybe you could flip the color ramp if you wish to. This is what it will look like. Just grunge in the black color and minimize the rust brown color and apply scale, and also just transfer this entire material to all our metallic objects. And also add the same material to our handle kind of thing, a bezier curve, to be precise. If you wish, you could make a different material for this torus shape, or you could just apply the same material. Now let's add a material for our candle flame. Hide these things, select our candle flame, new, and flame matte. So delete principled BSTF, add glass BSTF, also add an emission texture. At this point, if you just wish to have emission texture, so you could just connect emission to surface, select the color and increase its strength. Or you could make the material more complex and do this. So just unconnect these nodes and add a color ramp and a color ramp and then a gradient texture. So connect the color of our gradient texture to the factor of our color ramp, the color of our color ramp to color of our emission, and add a mix shader. Connect the shader to our surface. Take this mix shader pretty up right there. Glass BSDF to shader on the bottom, emission to shader on the top. Now add a color ramp. Connect the color to factor of our mix shader. Then add a layer weight node and connect Fresnel to factor of our color ramp. Now let's just play with our emission color ramp a bit. So you need to find the colors of a real life candle flame to just input those colors into here. And for that, color.adobe.com is the best site. I'm gonna link to it in the description. So here I've copy pasted all the colors from that website and select spherical instead of linear in our gradient texture and tweak our color ramp. You can also select different gradient textures if you wish to, and yeah, just press Ctrl T and make sure node wrangler add-on is turned on. Connect object node to our vector node and then just tweak in these sliders again. Right about here until you get a tint of that blue color, and now increase the strength if you wish to, and just make the IOR to 0 because maybe the IOR of flame is 0, and make sure that the outer part of our flame always remains kind of in that gradient texture look, and the inside of our flame is completely glass. So no matter in which direction you move, you're always gonna get that gradient texture on the borders, in case you didn't know what layer weight does with the color ramp. Now let's just check the render view, shall we? Get back into layout, and before unhiding all these objects, select this UV sphere, press Alt, make sure edge mode is selected, press Alt and click on this edge, then press F to create a face here so that the bottom doesn't look empty while rendering. And yeah, we almost forgot to make a material for our candle. Create on new. Oh, I can't spell candle. Candle. And maybe just make it somewhere near to bright, I mean white. Increase the roughness and play with these sliders if you wish to, an isotropic or specular. Just gonna give a bit of everything to it, and that should be it. we can't do much with our candle. So yeah, let's just unhide all these components. And if you wish, you could rename this. I'm not gonna do it right now. I'll probably do it afterwards. And make sure cycles is selected. And if you have a GPU compute, you could select GPU compute, obviously. And make our background, I mean world color, entirely dark. And don't no need to increase the strength. So here is our lantern. Now the entire scene seems to be very dark. To add a subtle amount of light, you could add in an area light to our scene and increase its strength and increase its size, and then its strength, no need to increase the strength, maybe just leave it at 10. Grab it down and grab it in Z axis so it is somewhere above our lamp. Maybe you could increase the power, no worries. And now let's just add a simple texture to our wall. We are gonna import a texture from a website, so I'm also gonna link that website in the description. Now I've imported this material right here named painted plaster. You could import any other material if you wish to. I'm definitely gonna link it in the description. Now select our wall and jump into shading mode, shading tab, name it as wall, and let's just select our principal PSTF and press Ctrl Shift and T. So, and navigate into the folder where you have saved all the textures and select the entire PNG file, all the PNG files, and click on Principal Texture Setup. So this is what your setup will look like, and this is what your texture will look like. So if it is rotated like this, instead of rotating the entire plane, you could just get into this mapping thing right here and instead rotate it by 90. And this is just our final texture of the wall. Now let's just take a look at the rendered view. Now if the rendered view seems pretty dull, just increase the strength of our emission shader, and now you could just ignore the area light as well. So hide the area light, uh, and it's time to add the camera. Ctrl Alt 0 to snap it to view and just position it in the scene. And yep, you could just place the lantern in one of the corner or place the camera so that the lantern is in the middle. I prefer it being on the side because it looks pretty nice. And now you could just as well add a soft area light, grab it in y-axis, rotate in x by 90 and make it a nice little ellipse. Scale it up, increase the strength, maybe not very much. This area light is just to kind of give a subtle brightness to this area right here, or else it seems just darken out. So yeah, this is the purpose of our area light. Now you could also add a pretty subtle area light on the top. So grab into Z axis and make this area light more subtle because we don't want it to ruin this picture right here. We just want it to maybe bring in those details which we have put a bit of effort into. So yeah, below 10 should work just fine. And grab the camera in Z axis, click Z twice to grab it in the new Z axis, and this is what our scene will look like. Now let's just hit that render button and wait for our scene to finish rendering. You could also denoise it, but yeah, just check the render once because I'm not sure about it. So this is what our final product will look like. Now if you think this flame looks pretty ghastly, so no worries, just change the location or just change the texture of our glass. The roughness on the glass is what is causing this appearance of the candle. Now just select the glass material and get into shading tab where we have created the material. And yeah, instead of 4D you could use, instead of 3D you could use 4D, where we get this new slider where we can change the the position of our roughness patches with. So yeah, and we could always just decrease the roughness and connect the color again.